Broadcasting from Baltimore, Maryland, this is 5 by 3 Radio, where strength is for everyone. I'm your host, Emily Sokolinski, owner of 5 by 3 Training, a strength and conditioning gym in Baltimore, along with my co-host, Rebecca Fishburne, founder of Cornerstone Strength Maryland. Each week, Rebecca and I will discuss the ins and outs of strength training, why there is a no one-size-fits-all approach, and why strength is so important in our daily lives. Thanks for spending some time with us today. Now, on with the show. Hi, everybody. Welcome to 5 by 3 Radio. Today is part 2 of our interview with Laura and Paula. If you haven't listened to part 1 of the interview, please listen to part 1, which came out a couple weeks ago, before listening to the rest of this interview. We pick up where we left off, talking to Laura and Paula, two of Rebecca's clients, about their experience with barbell training. Thanks and enjoy.
So this is the beginning.
But it's like, I mean, I'd never, other than the few weeks before we called Rebecca, I don't think I would have even thought of doing barbell lifting. I don't think it would have entered my mind.
Right.
The only thing was when we had to find the LIFTMOR study. That was probably the first inkling that this is something that we should be doing. Even though before that, and Rebecca, I know you asked, how did you start finding about this? I was an executive at AARP for a number of years. AARP actually put out some information on this. They are not ageist in general. They didn't have a lot of information, but I get their magazine and I read something about the LIFTMOR study in there. Laura, did even more information about that. And I think that it's starting to become mainstream media a little more, because I didn't get it just from Instagram and just from YouTube. Actually read some articles about women, weightlifting or strength training being, and even there, they didn't necessarily delineate that it was.
Then they don't tell you what to do.
Right. They sometimes they're talking about, it's perfectly good to do it with hand weights, and some, and you don't know. I mean, it is good to some degree, but this is excellent. Will there be other things that will come up? I asked Rebecca, why are we doing these 4? Are there other things that we should do? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. These are important things that we have the patience to find out about. Eventually, we'll know.
And
we start with this.
Right. It is becoming more mainstream. And that's why the New York Times article that our colleague, Dr. Sullivan, was just in recently, and then on Good Morning America, he has a gym in Detroit, and his clients are over the age of 50. He doesn't have any clients under the age of 50. That's how he's started.
I saw his 92-year-old guy.
Yeah. I think 90.
Yeah, whatever. I saw him enter a competition.
Yeah,
with Scully.
Now he's like 96 or something. I think John's like 96 now, isn't he?
Yeah, and their deadlift meet for
right.
John Clausen seniors coming up. It's November 24th.
Yeah,
because my John Clausen Jr. is going to be his dad. I just think that's so cool.
It was amazing. I remember he said, somebody said to him, "How much are you going to lift?" And he said, I don't know, I think in the 200s. He said, "How much have you ever lifted?" He said, "Like 185. and apparently he said, "Sully's just going to tell me what to lift and I'll lift it."
And I'll do it. And I get that a lot. Emily just tells me what to do and I do it. Exactly. Just listen to me, do what I say, and you'll be fine. I just lost my train of thought because there's my
sorry.
That's menopause. That's menopause.
I had two trains of thought. One of them was something else that you had mentioned that I think is an important addition to the list of key factors in getting involved or getting started, was examples of people doing this in your age demographic. And so the visual example that you had of this came from the Australian videos that you saw. And like, if you have a gym community and you see it in person, that's helpful. If you watch on videos and you see like some of the starting strength materials and you see that there are other people in their 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s that are doing this type of lifting, it just opens up the possibility of what you are able to do. Because a lot of times people get hung up on this, like, oh, barbells, that's not for me. That was for like, that's the football players do that. Or, you know, the big muscular men do that. Like the idea that this is something that 60 and 70-year-old women do too, isn't, if you see that visually, that can be really helpful. And then I think also this is a conversation or a question that you had asked at one point a couple weeks ago, which I thought was an excellent question. And you brought it up again today too, Paula, this idea of like, what is heavy? Or how much weight should I be using? And that's one of the things that I think for people who are just getting started with this, with no barbell experience, one of the things I think that is excellent about the Starting Strength program, you guys are learning what is heavy through experience and not by me just picking a random number, throwing it in like on a bar and throwing that on your back. We're doing that through this novice linear progression where we start out with something that is super easy and manageable. And that starting point could be different for anybody. Like you guys started out doing this with weight. We had training bars available to us. We could choose an appropriate weight. Emily and I have worked with people where their starting weight, which is appropriate for them, is body weight, right? But you find where a person is and you get them started, and then you just gradually, progressively overload that, and the person learns about it, like what is heavy, not only as an intellectual exercise or as something that they're reading in an article, but through experience, through feel, like kinesthetically, like what does that feel like if I'm doing something that's heavy? And, like feeling it, but also recognizing those physiological signs. And we talk about that too. Like the whole idea of rate of perceived exertion is something that we talk about as an educational process as you're going through this linear progression, and how that feels. And Paula, you cracked me up the other day. You're like, okay, I could feel that. I felt that weight, so that sort of idea. But like, what is heavy? I've had not patients, but lifters who have had doctors who say you have to go lift something that's heavy. Well, how do you know what is heavy? And heavy means something totally different. Like you're saying, Laura, if you're talking about something that's like an 8 to 12 rep range, heavy in that many reps is different. And that's not really what's going to drive the change that people are looking for.
Yeah. And it's hard in the beginning when you're first learning, you don't know what heavy is because every single time you get under that bar, that weight's heavy. It's, because as you keep adding weight, now that's heavy. Now that's heavy. Okay, now that's heavy. And I tell people all the time, this weight that you're lifting today will be a warm up for you next time. And they look at me and they laugh. And then, 3 weeks later, it's a warm up for them. And they look back and they can't believe that they ever thought that was light. They'll pick up a bar and they'll say, "Are you sure this is a 45-pound bar?" And I'll say, "Yeah." And really, I couldn't move this bar last time. I couldn't pick it up and move it to the rack. Are you sure? And they'll grab light bars and they'll throw the bar and they'll say, "Oh, I thought that was the such and such bar," because now it's not heavy. Now they've experienced what
and I think what Rebecca is bringing up is good, but it brings it back to the fact that we need to go on this journey with guys like you. We can't do this all by ourselves. And that's what I think we found out. And it took us years to find that out. But I think if the word gets out there, and again, I love the fact that you're willing to teach us and let us fly out of the nest. That is important. And yeah, I know. If we go, if we will go. That is important. And I think it's important for older lifters to know that there is guidance out there and you are available. And it is worth the investment in yourself to do it.
And not every trainer, not every coach wants to work with an older lifter. There's that too. And I think that's why you get the whole run around and you get the different activities because they don't want to hurt you. Yeah. Right, quote unquote. They don't want to hurt you. I'm not afraid of hurting you. Rebecca's not afraid of hurting you.
Well, because you're not going to.
We're not going to. But I've had many people have had experiences. A couple of my lifters have had experiences at gyms where they've worked with someone one time who ran them through a program and they were hurt and sore afterwards and they never went back. Right. So you've got people who will either tiptoe around you and treat you like you're glass, or just throw everything at you because that's what they're used to doing and forget that you're a 65, 70-year-old person who needs to start here at the basics, just like anybody, whether you're a 30-year-old or 20-year-old, you start at the basics and you start very conservatively. And then you progress from there. That's progressive overload. So understanding people and who they are and where they are and how to begin them, you don't just treat them like glass or coach them like they're a 19-year-old, you know. And that's the difference too. We're not worried about hurting you. I will push somebody, and I'll push somebody even when they don't want to be pushed. And then afterwards I get, okay, thank you. But at the time, you know, there's maybe a little bit of pushback, like, I don't think I can do it. And I say, I know you can do it because I'm the one watching you. I'm the one coaching you. And afterwards, it's always like, okay, you know me better than I know myself. It's like, no, I just know that we don't like to do hard things. And it's difficult when things get hard, when things get heavy, right? But that's where then you have somebody who you trust, Rebecca, to say, nope, you can do this, because
Yeah,
she
Emily,
knows,
you
she
bring up a
knows.
good point, because Rebecca has said often that this is as much a cerebral activity as
Absolutely.
it is a physical
100%,
activity, and
100%.
that you can get into your head in
Oh,
such a way that, and if you can get out of your head, you can do it. And that is part of, Rebecca has a very smart way of saying that, and it works.
it
I'm
is so
thinking about, Emily,
psychological.
you're talking about pushing somebody, and I'm thinking about times with Paula where I've actually had to do the opposite.
Right. Well,
The
that's
opposite.
a
Pull
whole
her
other
back,
story.
pull her back.
Yeah,
Oh, I
pull
have
back,
that. Oh,
right?
yes.
Because like there's something else going on. And then like, Paula's head is in a different place, and all of the
I'm
pieces.
easily distracted by something shiny.
Yeah, all of the pieces that she knows that she does with her deadlift kind of fall away because she's focused on something else. And you can see that, right? So that's where it's like there are times when you push as the coach and times as the coach where you're like, that's done. You're doing sets of 3 today. We're not doing fives. We're
Oh,
done with that.
oh, absolutely. And there's times
Right.
you have to pull them back. Like I have a client that I trained via FaceTime, Mona, and Mona's 87, and
Good for Mona.
Mona's 87. She's a mother of one of my clients, and she lives in New Jersey. So, and she's moving down here. They're moving down to Oakcrest, which is in Parkville. So she and her husband are going to move down close to their daughter and to the gym. And, you know, imagine if you walked into my office where she's deadlifting, because she's got a bar in her basement with a squat rack and, you know, all of her weights. And I'm wanting her to do 1 rep because it's her last single before her work set weight. And she gets down there and she pulls it for 1 rep. And then I'm screaming, that's it. That's it. That's it. No. And she goes, I could do another one, but I'm like, but I don't want you to do another one. That's it. That's it. And I'm screaming through the face. And she goes, oh, okay. I said, okay, now add another 5 pounds. Oh, okay. And then but I mean, because she wants to do more because she can, but I'm having to scream at her through the iPad to like stop. So
That's
sometimes pulling
interesting.
back is good. But yeah, she feels, I mean, for someone like Mona, who's 87, what this has done for her is unbelievable. I mean, she talks about it all the time, and she says, I need to make more
We're
videos.
going there.
Yeah.
We're
And
heading.
yeah, and one of the things that I first did with Mona, and I want to touch on this before, and I'm looking at the time, and I don't know if you ladies are still good with the time. I might split this up into 2 parts because there's a lot of good material here, but I don't want to overload our listeners too much. Um, she came to visit her daughter. She came to the gym. She's talking to her daughter, and I said something about talking about getting her knees, and she had a knee replacement a couple of years ago, and she said the one thing I can't really do is get down to the floor. I said, well, do you want me to help you with that? She said, oh, would you? I said, sure. So we go over into the turf room, and I have a gym mat that is folded up, so you can kind of basically like bring the floor up to you. And we worked her, you know, how to get down onto the mat, and then we opened the mat up, and we went a little further, and we opened the mat up, and we got down fairly low. And it's the first time she'd been on her knees on the floor since her knee replacement, which was like 2 years before that,
Yeah.
because she didn't know what to do. And that is a skill that I've been doing and working with my clients on for those who need it, because not all of them need it. Some of them can get down and get up off the floor and they have no issues. And others come because that's their concern. Their concern is the getting down, as I think it was Paula, your mom, who said, I'm the couch.
Yeah, she does couch games. But Emily, let me ask you a question about that. And I just lost my train of thought, but it was a really good question.
About getting down, getting up.
Talking about getting on the right. How do you see the difference between the training that you do and physical therapy? because when you were
Oh,
talking about Mona going down on the floor,
yeah.
she should have had physical therapy. I don't know a lot about physical therapy, and I've never done it. This is not physical therapy. This is training. But where is that crossover?
I think there's some physical therapists who do crossover and into more strength training, who really take their physical therapy to the next level and start to push their clients a little more, right? They have equipment at the physical therapist office, they have racks, they have bars, and then they're therapists who do just the minimum. They basically focus on just the knee or just the shoulder, and they do the exercises, and then you're cut loose. Now you're done with
Okay.
PT, and now you should begin a strength training program. And I'm sure Rebecca could
Yeah.
could
Well, I
could, could
mean,
chime in on
I've
this.
been in a physical therapy office, working in a physical therapy office as a tech for like the last 2 years, and we've had a lot of different physical therapists. We've had traveling therapists come through, and there is a wide difference in the approach that physical therapists take, just like you guys have found with personal trainers. And at base, they should all be following this protocol of progressive overload, right? And that's what happens with all of the physical therapists that I've worked with over the last several years. But what they understand progressive overload, or what they understand those exercises that they are progressively overloading to be, can be pretty dramatically different. So there are some therapists who have the patient, mainly doing isometric exercises and band work. I have a therapist that I'm working with now who pretty much right out of the gates has people working with heavier weights in machines that they would find if they went to the gym. So, like, the office that I'm in doesn't have a squat rack, but it has a leg press, leg extension, hamstring curl, cable columns. So, I work with some therapists who have their patients doing exercises that simulate what they might be able to replicate for themselves later in a gym so that they can continue the work. When one of my kids was in therapy, physical therapy a couple of years ago, there are some physical therapy offices that have squat racks and barbells. And so I had her in one of those physical therapy offices. They're harder to find, but she was doing barbell training. And so that was familiar to her. And that was the sort of physical therapy that she started with. But the idea is the same. And it's the same thing that we're talking about too, finding out where the patient is or where the lifter is and progressing them from that point. There's a lot more to what's going on when you're working with a physical therapist, though, in terms of, like if you have nerve issues, or they can provide other modalities like stim, or cupping, or dry needling, or some other things like that, that obviously are outside of our scope of practice. But a lot of the basic principles are similar.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I think that, between Rebecca and I, what we teach, and just the method in general, the model that we use and how we approach our clients, people always ask me, are you a physical therapist too? And I was like, no, but I know a lot about physical therapy, having been in physical therapy
And
before.
there's a lot of
And
physical
there's,
therapists starting strength coaches.
yes,
There's
yes.
a lot of people who are both, because the starting strength method takes that kind of approach, whereas a personal trainer doesn't necessarily do that. As you guys have experienced, a lot of times the goal is entertainment, muscle confusion,
Right.
make you sore so you feel like you got something out of it, and so that you'll want to,
I
come
kind
back
of,
the
I
next
think
time. And
with what we do, we're looking at the whole person. And we look at the whole person, and we're teaching people. I tell people, I'm teaching you how to move better. And yes, I put a bar in your hand, or I put a dumbbell in your hand, but it's all about movement. It's a movement pattern. So teaching people how to move better is part of this. It goes along with this. You're not just learning how to bench or squat. You're learning how to move your body in a better way, a more efficient way. You're learning how to pick something off the floor. That's what the deadlift is. You're learning how to get down to the ground for you. And I have a specific way of practicing, helping people practice getting down and getting up. And they do it one time, and it's scary. And it's, I had to help one of my clients off the floor, but the next week she came in, I made her get down again. We didn't go down as low this time, but I said to her, I need to know that that's as low as you can go. And that's where you get stuck so that I know how to now progress you to that place. Between the strength training that we're doing and you just being okay to get down and get up at this height, that's going to help you be able to get down to the next level, right? It's a practice. It's another skill that you have to learn. If we don't learn it or we don't practice it, we will lose it. One of my other clients who came in had a fall. It scared her enough to come in and start training. And she likes the routine that she has. And she was at the Y also. And she said, the Y called me. They wanted to know, why I'm not, and when am I coming back? She's like, I told them I'm not. It's like, because she said, I didn't think I was going to like this as much as I do. And that was something that you hear a lot too. And I think that you probably discovered that too, Paula. Like it was something that you didn't think you were going to like. And now it's something that you realize, I have to continue to do this. Like, I like this. I like the way it makes me feel. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's maybe frustrating, but it's a routine. I can see a difference. I can feel a difference. And I know I'm doing right now by my body. I know
we know we're doing right by our bodies.
It's a shame that it has to cost and be inaccessible to so many people because of cost and because it's not available or because there's no information about it. I mean, maybe if there were more information available, there could be more public information that people could access more easily to do this without having to pay so much. But it's just a shame because even for my mother-in-law who also just passed away in her 90s, but I got so tired of the physical therapist doing nothing for her and just worrying about the billing and the Medicare and what it pays for and how many sessions, that I did find a senior physical trainer. They are out there now. I guess they're kind of popping up. Physical trainers for seniors that will come to your house and do physical training, which was better, but it was very expensive. And we had to pay out of pocket, of course. It's not covered by Medicare. And you don't know what these people's certifications are. I think there's a wide range of what's out there. So, and I think it is the education of the person. And I don't think certification for physical fitness or training is uniform, right? There's all different types of certifications, and you don't know what they mean. Well, how much anatomy and physiology did they have,
Yes.
There is a business model here that I think could eventually, become, if your kind of training gyms became more ubiquitous, you would be able to charge less money because and now it's two prongs, because you need more facilities, you need more people, which means people need to be more educated. That is the only way to get it to Y-type pricing, which maybe you create programs that you sell to the Y,
where
and the Y
insurance companies would cover it.
That's another kettle of fish.
That's why
our system is so broken.
That's why they're machines. That's why Nautilus was invented. Mm-hmm. Because Nautilus is easy. You put a pin in, you take a pin out. You put a pin in, you take a pin out. And there are instructions on how to, right? It's more expensive to buy those machines and to staff the gym, with those machines than it is to actually train people to coach people, right? I mean, those machines cost a lot of money. My bars and my racks cost nothing compared to one of those weight machines.
And there's not as much maintenance at all. Those machines, a lot of maintenance.
There's a lot of maintenance.
There's got to be an answer in here.
I know. I mean, I think about that all the time when I talk to my members and when I work with my clients, and I think about it. I think about how many people need this, how many people would benefit from this, and how it's not as accessible to so many people. I have an image of me with a van being able to drive around and then pop open the door, or a rack comes out, and I can drive around to people and coach them, that way. A mobile gym. No, I mean, a mobile gym with Mona coming down to Oak Crest. We're already kind of like getting, going, how can I get myself in the door? Because first thing she said was, there's no rack in their gym. How much does it lift if there's no rack in their gym? So we're trying to figure out, how do I get myself into Oakhurst? And then how do I get myself into Blakehurst? And then how do I get myself into all these other communities and bring this to the masses? Like, how do we bring this to the masses and making it accessible? And you said, and
affordable assisted livings and
making it accessible and affordable to people. I understand.
Absolutely. And frankly, I think mobile gym is kind of brilliant.
I would love to.
You have a now it's pie in the sky, but the point is, it needs to be out there in some way for people, and it would be nice if it was out there for people of all economic. I can't tell you how many times. And insurance is not made for that. That's not what insurance is for. But there should be a benefit.
But it should be. It should be. If I could call myself 5x3 training physical therapy,
it should be a benefit. It should be an American benefit. There's so 100%. Many things that should be an American 100%. Benefit, and now we're on a whole other podcast. but it's all true. And Laura brings up a great point, because it is available for relatively affluent people, and it is not available for people who don't have the bucks to do it. And that another story. But even if we just get the information out there that women need to do this, what'll happen is YMCAs will begin to adopt it more. You guys have to think about how maybe you can create a business for yourself on it.
I think
that widens, that puts legs on what you already do.
I mean, you see that the gyms in general, many of the commercial gyms, have more equipment for people to do this work. Right. Because when I was at the Merit in 2010, 2008, 2009, I was, I belonged to a gym. I was teaching spin. I taught cycle classes for 6 years. And, they had tons of machines and tons of treadmills and tons of other stuff. And they had 2 racks. Mm-hmm. 2 racks, right? And one of the racks wasn't even one of the power racks wasn't bolted to the floor. So when someone was doing their kipping pull-ups on it, it was just going waving in the wind. I'm like, that's going to fall over in about 2 seconds. And this was
they only had was it Gold's Gym or maybe some of those really.
Yeah. So you didn't have that. Now, I haven't walked into the Merit in a while, but from what I understand, it is filled with racks now. I mean, they realized they were losing business to CrossFit. They're losing business mainly to CrossFit and to other, barbell gyms. So they had to get on the bandwagon, but you don't have coaches there who can teach these lifts. Not all of them are qualified. They don't, and they don't want to, or they think they know how to do it, or again, they don't want to hurt anybody. Mm-hmm. Or they tell somebody, you're not ready for it. You're not ready to do this exercise because you need to still go through these motions with me before I can. And that's just that's still, someone just wanting to kind of keep you on that short leash.
And the point of our talking about this is that there are a lot of women who can't afford to do this, but afford or not, women need to understand that this is something that we should be doing.
100%.
This is 100% something we should be doing. Everybody doesn't have the capacity to research the way Laura does. And not everybody has a friend who researches the way Laura does. So the word needs to get out there. We had to dig really hard. And it took us so long to get here.
Yeah.
It shouldn't. And I think you guys are doing a good thing by doing this podcast and figuring out ways to get the word out, because it will help your life in your business, which is great. But it will also help our lives. Mm-hmm. And I think women should just need to not be afraid of this, not be afraid of what's a 1 rep max, what's a lifting heavy, what's that. Just go in and learn a little bit more about this, but there has to be more information out there that if you're writing about it, that's great. Keep writing about it, Get more information out there.
It's good to know. It's good to hear that. I mean, it saddens me that you had to do so much research to find Rebecca, right? To figure this out, because you'd think that from all the articles that keep coming out and what you see on your Instagram or Facebook feed, it's there, and yet I'm still hearing, how long is it taking both of you to figure out like, whoa, this is what we've been missing. How come we didn't know about this? So why are we not doing a better job of
Because
getting
I think the
word out?
LIFTMOR study just came out how long ago? A couple of years ago?
Oh, no. It was several years. Was it 10 years ago?
Oh, is it that long ago?
Yeah.
So it's just getting kind of picked up, or at least we're just finding it. So
Right.
yeah.
So it still needs to be, so
People need to know, but anybody who's listening now who's thinking about it, just go do it. This is great. Do it. You feel empowered. And, and personally, I hope it keeps me off medicine. If it does that, it's done a lot. If it keeps me balanced and strong, Laura, keeps her from ending up with osteoporosis, fabulous. That's what we're here for.
at your age, you should just slow down. You don't need to be doing this. This is not you're not 35 anymore. And that's the wrong message. It's the message that's coming across, and it's the message that is coming out of those gyms. And it's just the message needs to change. And I think once the message changes, maybe the messengers will change and see the light and decide, what, we need to do better. We can do more.
Yeah. So it's the gym, it's the information that's out there, and the gym industry and the fitness industry.
Yes, 100%. That's why the franchises, the Starting Strength franchises, have clients of all ages, lots of older lifters. I have my clientele, Rebecca's clientele, but we're I have a friend who has a gym out in Bel Air, Maryland. He's got his older lifters. So I mean, they're small gyms like ours.
Mm-hmm.
They're not the mega gyms. And a lot of my clients would never go into one of those big box gyms to train. They wouldn't feel welcomed. They wouldn't feel like they belong. And that's a huge part of it too. The environment and the other people who are there.
But we're going to have to go into those gyms. That's the other thing, because we don't have a place to go.
But you'll have each other, and you'll show up, and everyone will start to wonder what you're doing, and want to know how you're doing it and where you learned how to do it.
Yeah. No, I mean, I work in one of those gyms also, though. And I mean, you just find some gyms have a different atmosphere to them.
That's true.
So, and you figure out the time that works well. Like the gym that I work in, I mean, there's definitely like the old man mafia at 8 o'clock. I would not tell somebody to go in and lift during that time. But like there's other times a day, and you kind of get the feel for it. And if you've got flexibility with your schedule, you can kind of work around the times when the gym feels less friendly or welcoming, or the times when, like if it's a gym that, like the one that I am in where there's only 2 squat racks, sometimes there's a line, and you figure out when there's going to be availability and when the atmosphere feels friendly, and kind of do that. But yeah, I mean, like if you're near a smaller gym, or a Starting Strength affiliate or a Starting Strength franchise gym or something like that, that's like a more ideal situation.
Are there franchises for Starting Strength?
Yeah, but in certain areas,
right?
As far as I know, Washington, D.C. area, Baltimore area was not one of
get ladies to do it.
Nothing in Baltimore, nothing in Washington, because I mean, no one's going to open up a franchise here. You've got us. I mean, there's so many coaches in Maryland alone. There's no reason for them to open up a franchise. Yeah. So that's I wrestle with a lot of this. I wrestle with what I like to do and what I like to share with people, and trying and I don't get to the masses that I'd like. So, but we do, but I think it's definitely becoming slightly more mainstream, right? I got three new clients from the article in the Times. 2 women who read the article, and a gentleman who read my comment that I made on the article. And that's how they found me.
So they're online clients,
Nope, two clients are in person. I have a woman who comes up from Tacoma Park once a week.
Wow.
And then I have a gentleman
I know what you're thinking.
I have a gentleman who lives in Virginia, and he came up for a 2-hour session with my husband Diego, and I train him online. So he works out at a gym in Virginia where he lives, and I work with him online. And Rebecca has a lot of online clients too, as well. So yeah, but he came as a result of the comment I made. He said, "I read your comment on the New York Times article." I was like, "That's why I made the comment." To let people know that there was a gym in Baltimore, or close to the Virginia DC
What do you
area.
guys think of online training versus in person? Do you have opinions on
I
that?
think it's online is the best. Online is second best.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have my clients
Yeah,
make
that's
good
like
progress. Yeah.
And she
the
makes
short answer.
Yeah.
Short
I have people who I've seen in person, and I have people who I've never seen in person who are doing quite well. Right. Because they're consistent. They're consistent with their training. They have equipment where they can, either a gym or at home, and we're able to communicate very well, and it really is the next best thing to in person. In person is great, it's best, but if you do right as a coach by your online client, you can really help them make great progress. Yeah, I mean, Rebecca has a number of online clients, as do I. Yeah.
Do your
So-
online clients, Rebecca, have cages at their homes and stuff?
Yeah, although I have, yeah, at the moment, I think all of my online clients have their own at-home gym setup, but I have in the past worked with people who have just recorded themselves videoed in a public gym.
Right, because you can actually, I would think you could actually do an online at a public gym.
Yeah. The only issue with a public gym setting for online coaching, at least the way I do it, is if it's somebody who's a brand new lifter, where I'm going through the teaching process with them, that's pretty tough to do
Can be
in a public gym
noisy.
setting
Yeah.
because I'm not guaranteed that they'll be able to hear me.
Yeah.
They're not guaranteed that they're going to be able to keep their camera, their phone, their laptop,
Yeah, that's
whatever,
true.
where they need it.
Yeah.
So all of the people that I've started from scratch as online clients have been people who have a setup at home, and then we use a couple different cameras to get them started. Like I had a woman in your age range, who was living in a pretty rural area of, I forget if it was Vermont or Maine, and she had her own at-home gym. So, she got started brand new, but like we had just a
Cameras.
couple different cameras, different camera angles set up for that session, and we did it like a one-on-one session.
Yeah. I don't coach anybody via Zoom with the barbell training. Everybody videos themselves and sends me their videos.
Oh, okay.
Some people have seen us in person, and that's good. The ones who I haven't seen in person have kind of started on their own, and then I can fix them and fix them and fix them as they progress. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Like a lot of times, if it's an online client who lives close enough within like a 2 or 3 hour
That's
radius,
best.
and they can come to me for like the 4 lift session. We'll do that first. It's in person. It's a lot more efficient, and the learning process is a lot easier for the lifter if it's in person as
And then
opposed
they
to.
do tune-ups. Is that
Yeah.
what's kind of?
And then they'll do their online coaching for just, regular programming or for, working out some form kinks as they appear, that kind of thing.
So regular programming, meaning like
Like when you guys come in and I have written out for you, like, okay, this is what we're going to
means
do.
how much
Okay.
to increase and
Yeah.
when to increase and when to go
Yep.
back.
Yep. I program everybody. Everybody has a spreadsheet with their program on it, and they follow that, and then they send their videos to me, and I set them up for every
For
week.
the next thing.
Oh,
Yep.
Nice. That's what we.
Actually, I have another idea of what we need.
We should probably wrap it up though.
I'm cutting I'm cutting some of this out. Don't worry. Like this is just chit chat here.
Yeah.
It's great. It's great
Yeah,
talking with you guys. Thank you a
It's
lot
fun.
for
Yeah.
having us do this.
Absolutely. Oh no, this is a wonderful second kind of part 2 to the podcast that we just put out about, training an older lifter and how an older lifter can get involved and all the different ways that we train them. So this is a good follow-up to that. It needs to be heard. It needs to be heard over and over and over again, and needs to be heard by different people doing this, finding this, having tried all the different activities that you've tried, and then realizing, wow, I've found my fountain of youth. I've kind of found what works and what clicks and what makes sense to me and what makes sense to my body, and I'm reaping the benefits of it because it was something that Rebecca found, it was something that I found, and every woman I know who started this doesn't understand why they weren't doing it before, and why it took them so long to kind of get to this place.
So thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Emily. Thank you, Rebecca.
Thank you very much.
Rebecca, we'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. And I'll bring the fractionals.
Tic Tacs.
Thanks, ladies. Have a good day. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to 5x3 Radio with Emily and Rebecca. If you like our show and want to know more about 5x3 training, please visit us at www.5, that's F-I-V-E, the letter X, the number 3.com. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram. To learn more about Rebecca, please visit her website, cornerstonestrengthmaryland.com. Thanks for listening and have a great week.